Welcome, Melissa Baisi, to the podcast. How are you today?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Good, good, good. So, welcome back. Melissa has been here before, and Melissa is a licensed psychologist, and she specializes in attachment styles, which we're going to talk about today. And she also combines it with manifestation coaching, which I don't know anybody doing that, and I think it's brilliant. And so, what I want you to do is just kind of take us through your process of doing that and putting on this Dr. Melissa hat and getting to the attachment style issues of someone, and then getting them into a secure attachment, and then saying, hey, okay, now what do you want to manifest? Let's do it, right?
Yeah, exactly. Because if you have an insecure attachment style, that's going to get in the way of your manifesting. So it's super important to be able to remove that insecure attachment style. It's a block, and then move into your manifesting.
So is it a block, like a physical, even a physical? Because I know you talk a lot about the nervous system and this physical block. Is it like kind of a energy block in general? Like, how would you describe more of the block that you're getting from this attachment style situation?
I would say it's an energetic block, and you can definitely feel it in your body. So I have people go inward, feel into where they're feeling the discomfort and the sensations, and then dialogue and interact with that part of themselves to see what its story is and see what kind of comforting it needs so that it's able to get out of the way and allow you to manifest what you want to manifest.
Do you kind of separate that, like that block, when you're talking with the attachment style part of it? Is that kind of a separate thing, and you say, okay, let's unblock this, and then we'll get to what you want? Or is it kind of a combination doing that all together that happens like seamlessly? Or just kind of describe how you go about that process.
Well, first we begin to assess the attachment styles. So for anybody who's wondering what their attachment style is, you can head over to attachment recovery/quiz. And there's a free quiz there that's going to assess your attachment style and send you your results. And once we figure out what your attachment style is, we begin to understand, where did this come from? What's the origins of your attachment trauma? And we begin to heal that trauma. And then from healing that trauma, we're removing those manifestation blocks. So it's an emotional block. In terms of it being a physical block, there are physical sensations inside that are connected to the block. So you can say that much. Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And
Yeah.
and I know you talked, I know in our last one you talked a little bit about the nervous system regulation. So you're kind of regulating the nervous system through that whole
Yeah.
process. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so we're going to be wanting to calm down the nervous system, bring it into a feeling of safety, and that feeling of safety is what's going to regulate the nervous system. So you always kind of want to be asking yourself, like, am I feeling safe in this situation? And that's really going to give you your answer as to whether or not you can move forward with your manifestation.
Let's talk about the different attachment styles and go over them briefly for people that don't know and might be wondering what attachment style they might or might not have.
For sure. So we have secure attachment, which doesn't have any subcategories. And then we have insecure attachment, which has 3 subcategories. And those 3 subcategories are anxious, avoidant, and disorganized. So anxious is pretty much how it sounds. It's got these needy, kind of almost desperate feelings of like, do you love me? Are you here for me? What are you doing? Where are you? Who are you talking to? All of those types of things, where you're really kind of like invested in what your partner's doing and always trying to assess if they love you. An avoidant attachment style pulls away, and they're like, okay, back up. Like, this is emotionally too much. You're overwhelming me. I need space. I don't want to give all of that emotional connection. And that's your avoidant attachment style. And then the third attachment style, the disorganized attachment style, is a little bit of both. It's kind of a mixture of anxious and avoidance. So sometimes feeling very needy and desperate, and other times feeling very pushed away and wanting space.
What do you find to be the most common? Is there one that's more common than the others, or people that you work with tend to have one more than the other?
An anxious attachment style is very slightly the most common statistically. It's around 26% avoidant is around 23%, and disorganized is around 6%. I'm not sure if my math is great there, but
Right?
and our attachment style can shift and vary based on who we're interacting with
Oh,
and
okay.
the phase of our life that we're in. So it's not always a solid attachment style. It can be very fluid.
So like in a relationship, I could have, say, an anxious attachment style, but then say with my work or whatever, it could be a different attachment style altogether.
Yeah. So like with a relationship, you can have an anxious attachment style, but with money, you can have an avoidance attachment style. The cure for healing your attachment and coming into a more secure attachment is the same. So you're going to be wanting to become your own secure base. And once you learn how you can connect inward, find safety in yourself, find comfort in yourself, you're able to release your insecure attachment relational style, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So it has this ripple effect into all the contexts of your life.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
Do you tell people no matter what, you can manifest anything you want, like the law of assumption, just feel it real kind of thing? Or do you ever like take more of the stoic philosophy approach to say, control the controllables, like really focus on what you can control and feel into that? Like, how do you approach that with your manifestation coaching part of your program?
I would say it's a little bit of both, but ultimately we can manifest whatever we want. That is what Neville talks about. And I'm a very firm believer in really everything that Neville Goddard writes about. He's spot on so much. However, when you have trauma blocks, we're going to want to be removing those trauma blocks before you're going to be wanting to continue forward with your manifestation. So some interesting things that have come along in my practice is oftentimes people come into my practice, they're wanting to manifest an SP. But after we begin removing the trauma blocks, they no longer want that SP anymore. That actually happened to me too. Like I came into the Neville Goddard community wanting to manifest an SP. I manifested my SP and then no longer wanted my SP anymore because I had removed my trauma blocks. So I know that's probably not the most appealing thing to people because they're wanting to manifest this specific person. Like they're like, no, you don't understand. I want this person. It's like, yes, you want this person in your unhealed state. But once you get into your healed state, what's that going to look like? And oftentimes there's not that attraction anymore. Those trauma bonds just aren't strong enough to make you want to stick with somebody who's not necessarily healthy for you. Anxiously attached people are very valuable in their relationships because they are willing to go the extra mile. They're willing to put in the work to make the relationship work. They are oftentimes who are attracted to the avoidant attached. So it's anxious and avoidant, and they pair up. And it's because of the anxiously attached person that the anxious and the avoidant go and get counseling. They go and get help. They go and figure out their attachment styles and they come into a more securely attached partnership. So it doesn't always, they don't, I don't want to make it sound like everyone who comes to me for coaching decides they don't want their SP. Some of them come into a securely attached relationship and they bring their avoidantly attached relationship partner in on it and they both become more securely attached. So that's a very plausible outcome as well.
Talk more about what it means to really have a secure attachment style and how you get people to that.
So first things first, with a secure attachment style, you're going to be having a more regulated nervous system. You're going to find more often than not, you're able to come into a state of regulation faster and for a longer amount of time than how you used to be if you're coming from an insecure attachment style. So a secure attachment is generally a regulated nervous system. It's somebody who's able to give their partner space in a relationship, and they're also able to take space in a relationship. There's not these ups and downs in the relationship. It's more of like a stable kind of flow in the relationship, which isn't always the most exciting thing for people. Lots of times people, especially an anxious attachment style, really thrives on those really high ups and downs. But when you come into a more secure, stable place, You're not going to have those high ups and downs, and it's just going to be a more peaceful existence, which can come across as boring to an anxious attachment style. So that's something we want to be really working on when we're working with an anxious attachment style, is reframing, like, what do we prioritize and value in a relationship? Is it that hot, passionate, whatever, and those ups and downs, or is it that stable, secure, foundational, you can count on your partner, they're there for you, they've got your back, you've got your own back. They come into a more secure attachment style, and once they become more secure, they're not so drawn to those highs and lows and those ups and downs, so they're looking for a more stable relationship. And using the law of assumption, they can begin to create their perfect SP and start to manifest that coming through, if that's in fact what they're wanting to manifest at that time. They often come in really wanting to manifest an SP. That's their main focus, because they're so stuck in their attachment, their insecure attachment style. That's all they can think about.
Right.
Once they heal those trauma blocks, they start to open up their world a little bit more and be like, yeah, I'm not really like, maybe I want a relationship right now, maybe I don't want a relationship right now, but when I do have a relationship, I want it to be more stable, more peaceful, more easy.
Is there meditations, or is there just kind of like talking through that, or having them imagine? Or what do you
Absolutely. So they can do future self work where they tune future selves. They can do that through meditation or through journaling or through talking it through visualization. There's so many techniques they can do to connect in with their future self. And they begin to ask their future self, like, what is it that I want? What does that look like? How does that feel? That's huge. How does it feel? And then tuning into that feeling sensation, being able to hold that stable and sturdy, and then going forward and getting that secure relationship if that's what they're feeling they want at that time.
So, Melissa, tell me how people can, again, assess really what their attachment style is. I know you mentioned the quiz. Why don't you mention that again, and just where people can find you to learn more about attachment styles to be able to manifest?
Absolutely. So if people want to reach out, they can go to attachmentrecovery.com and download a free PDF on attachment trauma. And then it's going to bring you to my calendar where you can book in a call with me to see if my coaching services would be right for you. Another thing you can do is go to attachmentrecovery.com/quiz and take the quiz to see what attachment style you are. And so generally, it's just going to let you know if you're secure, disorganized, avoidant, or anxious. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Melissa, for coming back and talking more about this attachment stuff. I find it fascinating, and I love what you're doing, putting these two things together. And it's brilliant. So thank you.
Oh, no problem. Thank you so much, Joey. It was so nice to be on here with you again.